And the Marian University Plymouth pregame show, coach's show, and Brent Corbett joins me, the head coach of the Plymouth Rockies. I gotta feel like you're happy, even though there was a loss. Like you said before, 17 guys getting their first start. You had some really bright spots.
We did. Our kids competed for 4 quarters. The effort they gave, I was very happy with. I mean, with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we got the ball with a chance to win. So, I'm happy with, how they played and how we competed, that we had a chance to win. Disappointed, of course, we lost. But, I think there, Tippy Valley was the more experienced team, and experience at that point showed our youth. So, it was a talking point. All mistakes that we made are very coachable mistakes that we can fix. So that was another great point for me of, telling our kids, like, hey, this simple thing is what cost us that we can fix. So kids have been great so far this week of taking that criticism and getting better, and look forward to Lakeland.
I was going to say, number one, anybody who's played at Valley, it's Death Valley, and they really play that up. Mm-hmm. And the coaching staff has done a great job convincing those guys that they're invincible on that field. There's been a lot of teams that have had trouble. Your first game, 17 guys. And like you said, you had a chance to win at the end of the game. That's got to feel really good.
Yeah, it is. And, for our kids of getting that experience, especially with Valley, it's such a great, Coach Moriarty does a great job of getting his kids hyped up of, we're just Tippy. It's that 3A versus 4A. So, our kids battling, being in the game was very key, that, it's a learning experience of like, okay, now we got to take it a step further of this is how we finish a game. And so for some of our kids, they learned that, and, they got that experience. So now being at home week 2 will definitely, I think, amp their level of play.
Let's talk about some of your guys. Your skill guys especially. You got to be really happy with what you saw out of them. Ryder Goodman, first start as a quarterback. Did he throw more than you wanted to, or was that? He got the ball in the air and had some success with it.
I think Kevin did a really good job of trying to limit his throws, made him a lot of easier passes, some slants, some outs, nothing really too extravagant to make Ryder speed the game up. So I think, that was key. I think we threw a little bit more than what we wanted to, but, the times we had to throw, we were trying to, 2-minute offense there at the end. And he did a great job of commanding the offense, looked like it. We kind of joked of like, well, crap, maybe we can throw a little bit more. But, our skill guys we knew would be a somewhat of a strength. We just knew they'd be very inexperienced with, McCoy, Grady, both being sophomores. Bentley at the beginning of the year, he's a sophomore. That that group showed talent as freshmen that we're looking forward to. But Owen's first game at running back, he's getting better this week. Was seeing some holes and making some cuts. So yeah, our skill guys are getting better, but they're also kids that put in the work throughout the week. So never really have to worry about them of, trying to correct something that they're not going to not work hard at it.
I was going to say, Owen didn't surprise me because we saw him last year in defensive end.
Yeah.
You knew he was skilled and he had the ability, but he had a nice game running the football.
He did. My nickname for him, Bam Bam, 'cause he just wants to hit. And, he showed it all last year on defense, and it really showed late last year when we moved down to D end. And he did an amazing job against Mishawaka closing down. So I didn't think Owen would do terrible. It was more of, those cuts that Bentley can make that only takes experience of, being in a game, running back. So Owen this week has gotten better of seeing those cuts and seeing what we were talking about of find the hole, trust your guys. So he's only going to get better week in, week out.
And I'm thinking, he's still on defense, right? He's still playing D end, or is he just in and out?
How we've kind of done it is if we're going to start on defense, he's going to start on defense. Big time downs that, we want to get a little more speed. And right now Dom's kind of has that ankle injury that he's hobbling. So getting, at key situations, game on the line, Owen's going to be in for somebody.
I was going to say, you don't have a ton of two-way guys, but you got some. And, that's on your mind, I'm sure.
It is. It's one thing that we don't really like to do, but, with our limited numbers of kind of where we're at, we kind of had to force the issue. But, those kids did an amazing job last week of, they conditioned very well. They drank water. They did all the things they needed to do to keep out. We didn't have one guy cramp to get out of the game all game. And, between Gibbons, McCoy, and Grady, they played every snap other than a couple special teams. So proud of that and their hard work and what they do.
I'm going to say, not cramping. I was at a game where every play, there were 4 guys cramping. It's just that time of year. And that, once again, I mean, that's something a lot of people wouldn't notice, but it shows what your guys, the time they put in the off season to be at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it as a coaching staff. Last year, I don't think we had 1 2-way guy, and we had 5 6 guys cramping in the game. So, it's a testament though of these guys that challenging them in the summer and throughout the practice of conditioning a little bit more and why we need to condition. I think they're kind of finally seeing of like, oh crap, Coach may know something of. If we work hard, we're not gassed in the fourth quarter. And again, a testament to those kids of buying in what we're trying to do. And I think they're finally seeing the fruit of it, of not cramping and being able to play the whole game.
You mentioned Grady Scott a little bit earlier. I mean, I don't want to say he's a surprise, knowing the family he comes from, his DNA, the way they played ball. It's not like I didn't expect it, but this quick, maybe. He obviously has got your attention.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game, offensively with catching how many did, making some moves. But, defensively, we knew he was more kind of a defensive kid. He asked great questions, too, week in, week out with Coach Skirvin. So, he's worked hard. Sophomore body. So as the year goes on, he's going to bulk up a little bit, and he's only going to get better as career goes.
How do you feel? I mean, let's talk about what you liked most last week. I mean, what were the things that really were on your list of, we did that well, the way I wanted to?
I think I laugh because our admin team were asking me the same thing. My biggest thing is we looked organized as a team, I felt. Right. For just putting in special teams, we could do a little bit better coverage-wise. But, I felt we were organized. Kids knew where they were supposed to go. Again, the competing part of it. Back couple years ago, we probably, Tippy gets up 22-8, we probably drop our heads and it's crap, but our kids kept fighting, got into the game. I mean, we're yard and a half from getting an onside kick to possibly tie and go win the game. So those two things I'm very proud of. And our kids took coaching really well, and it sounds bad, but to see our kids upset. And it affected them. It affected them losing, and I just think that's something we've struggled with here lately. And it's not just a football thing; it's an athletic thing. Of hurting has to lose, and looking at our kids' eyes of it hurt to lose last week. So I think that's why I think this week's gone very well, and they're ready to go for Friday.
Other thing about that you mentioned, and I can't tell you how many first games I've seen in 40 years of doing this. Just getting guys on and off the field during special teams if you didn't have any, okay, we got to call a timeout to get the right guy on. That's huge because, that usually doesn't happen on game 2 or 3.
Yeah, and, that's a testament to the staff. We got a very veteran staff, a staff that, has been great, supportive for me to make this transition easy. Gene Skirvin's been ahead of our special teams the last couple of years, did a great job. But again, it's a whole staff thing of making sure, we're communicating of if this kid needs a blow, who's got the sub. So, hats off to my staff too for that.
Let's talk about what you saw you didn't like. What are going to be we're only on Tuesday, but what's going to be the coaching points as you go through the week?
It's our own line of dominating that line of scrimmage. For how big our line is, we got to be able to move some space for our guys and onto the defense of just tackling a little bit better. As the game went on, I felt we were lunging a little bit more, dropping our head, just coming to balance, taking that extra step to make a good tackle. And probably our kickoff coverage, we got to squeeze things down a little bit. But, again, all things that are coachable and fixable. So
let's talk about Lakeland. And we talked a little earlier. I mean, you haven't had a chance, I'm sure, to look at them in depth. But, it's an old face over there, Tom Wogeman. And every Plymouth football coach I've ever talked to, he's like an evil genius on defense. No matter what you're doing, he's going to figure some way to scheme it to stop you.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's got a history with Plymouth football, and I'm sure you're not ignorant of that. You've been here for most of it.
Yeah, offensively, to me, it looks like their 2014 years in Northridge of, their semi-state run. They got the two backs. They got a quarterback that can throw but also can run very well. So, you got three options back there. Defensively, they fly to the ball. They're athletic. I'm sure he's going to scheme something to take the ball out of Owen's hands and make someone else beat him. He's an amazing coach that gets his kids fired up. I mean, 2 years ago or 3 years ago against Goshen, they came in with a linebacker playing quarterback and and schemed us and beat us. Yeah. And it's hats off to him of getting his kids ready to go. And I have no doubt he'll do the same thing. We're both searching for win number one, especially heading into conference week. So it's going to be a great chess match between him and our coaching staff.
And once again, I know it's early in the week, but I know you have a checklist of things you want to see out of your guys on Friday. What's on that?
Offensively, we're putting in a couple wrinkles. By at least Thursday, would love to get our guys, everything smooth, seamless. They understand what we're doing. Defensively, knowing the scheme of what checks, how we're gonna attack some things. So, kickoff. We worked on kickoff today, and we got better at it. So it's those little things in special teams and just the kids being on page and asking the right questions and asking questions that I'll be happy with.
It's Brent Corbett, head coach at Plymouth Rockies.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Marian University Plymouth Coaches Show, and we had a chance Thursday morning to sit down and talk with Lakeland head coach Tom Wogelman. Most of our listeners don't. Obviously, I don't think any probably had a chance to ever see Lakeland play football. I mean, first time both teams are meeting. You have some familiarity, and then Plymouth has some familiarity with you. And tell us a little bit about your team. I mean, what are we going to see Friday night?
Yeah, you're right. Though this is the first meeting ever between Lakeland and Plymouth. There was just an opportunity. Both of us had some openings in week 2, and we picked you guys up last year. I tell you, Lakeland, we are a small school as far as the population. We just dropped down to 2A football. And so we right now, with numbers, we have enough for a little bit lower numbers this year, but we've got some, it doesn't matter really where you go to school, where you coach at. Kids that play football are just, the same kind of people that are walking the halls. Yeah. We don't have many of them, but the guys we got, we love. This is a really, I would say, a raw football team. There were so many seniors last year that graduated on, and I think there was at least 3 seniors that had played all 4 years varsity at Lakeland. So they were last year's group was a very familiar team that people would go and they would come to Lakeland and watch the game. They just the staple there. We had Keenan Arroyo, we had Levi Cook, we had Braden Holbrook, and the list goes on and on. So this is a new crop, and so we are working towards getting better every week. I would say people ask me where we're at. We're not where we want to be, but we are definitely better than what we were a week ago.
Let's talk a little bit about opening with, obviously, St. Joe. That's a big bite for a young team. They have one of those programs that just seems to reload all the time. I mean, break it down for us. What did you like about what you saw? What did you not like about that opening night?
Well, I can tell you, I don't like the schedule. South Bend, you're right. South Bend St. Joe is a team that, with Ben Downey, they have just, they've struggled through some years. And it always seems like at South Bend with the private schools, either seems like Mishawaka Marion's really at their elite program, or at St. Joe, and it never seems like both of them are at the same level. And I know that St. Joe, once Coach Downey got back, has just climbed that ladder back up, and they are really doing great things. I mean, they went to semi-state, and I know their plans is to have another deep run this year. And they are a quality football team. And so we kind of knew going in that we needed to just make sure that we focused on ourselves. They were going to be playing at a different level the one thing that's hard when you've got about 40 kids playing on a program is simulating another opponent as a scout team. And that's what we just, you can preach it all practice long about, hey, the speed is going to be something you've never seen before. And until they saw it last Friday, they just, had to take our word for it. But, the one thing is we grew in watching film was a big deal as far as kind of moving on to the next page. And like everybody says, the difference we need to see now is, are we going on the step from week one? Always week two is a really indicator to see if you've improved and we're on the right page.
Well, let's talk about your guys a little bit. I mean, who do you have that we should look for? What are some names we're going to hear on Friday?
Well, Brady West is our quarterback, and he's a junior. He is, he is right now one varsity game into playing on Fridays. Braden Holbrook was the kid that was at Lakeland the last 4 years at quarterback. He's one of those 4-year starters, and so Brady had some really big shoes to fill, and he's still filling them as far as stepping in and just taking that lead role. Briar Alshouse, he's one of our few guys that just has a lot of returning or a lot of varsity experience. He's been on the field since he was a sophomore. He's kind of the leader of both sides. He is one of those kids that just is our kind of our heart and soul. He is our running back and also linebacker. Cruz Richard is another. He's another one of our guys that has some experience coming back in this season at a defensive back and receiver. And then Aiden Givens is probably the third guy, and he's our center, and he is a returning starter. It's always nice to be able to have you're going to have a returner coming back besides quarterback. Center is a great spot to have a guy coming back.
Yeah. How about Plymouth? I'm sure you've had a chance to take a look at them. If you were giving us a scouting report on them, what would you tell us?
I like what I see. I mean, it is a beefy line that Plymouth has, and they can move. Is the old line coach? What's his last name? Is it Samuelson?
Yeah.
He's been there I've known him for a long time, and I thought he was still there. I thought I saw his name in the staff, and he's just a really good line coach, and you can see as what Plymouth's doing, it's always that same Plymouth mentality, and they're going to be physical. They want to get underneath you and run. I like your running back. He's a good, speedy guy that once he gets to the outside, it's going to be trouble unless we got him contained. Defense with your 3-4, it's pretty simple as far as what you're doing, but I think that's the key to having a good defense is lining up in your base, and if you can play good football from the base alignment with that 3-4 or 4-3 or whatever you decide, that's usually a good sign that your players are playing hard.
Okay, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Over the years, you've had chances to play Plymouth teams over and over again at Northridge and Goshen and some other places. And I'm going to tell you that you have a reputation among the coaching staff over here being kind of a defensive mad scientist. It's like they tell me, no matter what we're running, no matter what we're doing, and no matter how good we do it, he's going to come up with something that's going to drive us crazy. So without giving away too much, what do you guys want to get accomplished on Friday?
Oh man, I tell you what, if you saw our tape of against St. Joe last week, the hardest part as far as the pill for us to swallow is not necessarily what the scheme is. We missed tackles consistently. We couldn't defeat a block consistently at the linebacker and defensive line play. We consistently didn't take great angles to the ball. That's all schematics, or that is all things that are not schematics. And we got to just get better at those things. We're going to be focusing on those skills. If you can defeat a block, make a great tackle, not let the ball carrier continue to get yards after contact, And if you take an angle to the football, that's the things that we just have to get better at. So scheme wise, we're going to play it pretty close to the vest because we just got so much young dudes playing this game that it was when you step out onto that platform on a Friday night and you've never been there before, like we had 18 guys on Friday, they were pretty wide-eyed. And so hopefully the game starts to slow down a little bit for them.
And Andy Barker joins me, head coach of the Triton Trojans. And, man, I know it didn't turn out on the scoreboard the way you wanted it to, but there's got to be a lot of things that you feel really good about from last Friday.
Yeah, I think it starts with our effort. There was never a question about the boys and whether they're going to give up or not. So they went hard from the start to the finish. We had a lot of learning to do in game, and some of that stuff, unfortunately, you don't get to learn without doing. The speed of a game on Friday night, the violence that comes with it, it was just something that we needed to adapt to. We needed to get some experience with, but yeah, the positive was not one single person gave up on me, and I'll take that.
And I was going to say, there were the normal, opening night things, wrong guy on special teams, so we got to stop and wait. Those are things that sort themselves out. But the one thing I saw was you and your staff on the sideline using those as teaching moments. You had those guys over, you were talking to them, explaining to them what this is going to be like for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm super blessed. In fact, it's funny that you mentioned it. I just literally talked to our team tonight about how blessed we are to have the coaching staff that I've been able to assemble. It's just, some of it was pure luck, and some of it was because these guys they want to be a part of a program and affect the Triton community, and we are super fortunate. So yeah, those guys are on the sideline coaching them up as much as we can when they come off. Fortunately, with a 1A team, you got a lot of boys that play both ways and then all special teams, and so you kind of get them in between a quarter and you coach them up as much as you can. But sure, the ones that are coming on and off, we're going to coach hard.
I got to say, the big thing is that they seemed like they wanted to come and talk to you, too. There was no fear of that discussion like they were going to get ripped into or whatever. I mean, it was just, okay, I'm seeing this, coach. What's going on? And, watching your guys come over and look for that coaching, that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we were heading and wanted to go. It's this process-based entity, and they need to feel comfortable enough to come and ask us questions. And the staff was on board after last year's end, we got together, and I'm like, hey, this is my vision for the future, but you guys are the ones that are going to execute it. And I want them to feel comfortable coming to us. We're going to be young. They need to learn. And if they feel like, they're going to get their head bitten off every time they come to us, then naturally they're going to turn and go the other way. So, Charlie Worsham was great. He came off, and when he was able to talk to me, he was right there. And he's my most experienced guy out there, especially on the line. And so to have a kid like that will come and talk to me and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. What should our response be? That's perfect, because I was fortunate enough to have a couple of those kids last year. Didn't know exactly who that was going to be for me this year, and that's starting to shake out pretty quick.
I was going to say, he's the one I noticed, but there was another lineman with him, and I'm thinking it was 73, but it was another big guy, a big tackle, and they were long discussions about, and there was a lot of pointing going on, so I know there was a lot of exchange happening.
Yeah, I think you're probably talking about Greg Bradley, which is kind of the guard that's right next to him. Him and then Blake Ousley. He's our kind of our wing guy.
Yeah.
All very in it individuals. Like, they are locked in. I've been a part of a lot of teams, but to have it this locked in this early, knowing that we're going to have a fight all season, just to continue to improve. It's super, super promising.
Okay, obviously Ryder had a great game. But the thing about that gets me, though, is after the first two possessions,
everybody on the field knew who was going to get the football. He still had a great game. That says a lot about him, number one, but also your offensive line making the holes to give him room to make those decisions.
Yeah, Ryder's a special kid. I mean, he has the ability to, it's this weird gear where, like, when you're on the field and you're eye level with him, like, you could see his body sink and just hit another gear. It's truly fun to watch as a coach. But you're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have 5, 6, 7 dudes up front that are blocking their butt off, there aren't going to be any holes. And so, when we're running virtually the same play over and over and we're gaining 5 to 7 yards a pop, yeah, that's simply because the O-line's comfortable with what they're doing. And I mean, to the point where they were even blitzing through the gaps that we were running in, and it still wasn't working for them at times. So, it's the O-line and Ryder getting it done.
And I got to say, he started at quarterback, and you made the adjustment early, and that's, what that really seemed to me like it gave you a spark going with him getting a handoff instead of taking the snap. We talked a little bit about it on Saturday, but it's just a different view, a different vision of the play as it develops.
Yeah, it's a timing thing for sure, right? And I think more importantly, it's a comfort thing. In Ryder's defense, he's been a running back since he was in our 10U program. He's never been asked to be the quarterback. And so, because he's a great kid and he's a heck of a teammate, when I came to him at the beginning of the season and asked him to be QB1, he didn't bat an eye. He said, yeah, I'll do it. But he is much, much more comfortable in that tailback role. And that's okay. And probably moving forward, in fact, not probably, we will find a way to make him more comfortable because, I think it's obvious at this point our offense is going to run through him. And that's okay. If tailback's where he belongs, then we'll figure out how to make that work.
I thought Drew did a nice job, handling things, probably not expecting to play a lot. He got out there and did it. Your senior, Miller, did a nice job. So you got a couple of pretty good options.
Yeah, I guess a dad brag for a second. There's not one kid on that team. And the players know, like Drew knows the offense. He's the second smartest person when it comes to our offense because he's been with me since I built it. And so, I love the fact that there are upperclassmen that are comfortable enough to come to him and say, Drew, what the heck am I supposed to do on this play?
Yeah.
And even better, he knows and can tell them, and then in a way where he's humble enough that he'll do that and move on. He knows his role this year is a management role, purely out of we have talent. He is a freshman. It's going to be hard. But yeah, then you got Izzy Miller, transfer in from LaVille. He's a senior. He's going to be our starter on Friday. Again, Ryder's moving to tailback position, especially with Tyler being out. That changes our world.
Oh, yeah.
And Izzy's a little bit more mature, a little bit stronger right now, and a little less hurt. So that helps.
Okay, let's bring that up. Peyton, is he done, or is there a chance you might get him back?
The unofficial word is it was the MCL. He still needs to go get an MRI. Best case scenario, we'll have him back in 4 weeks or 5 weeks. I want to make sure he's healthy, though. This isn't just a sophomore football season for him. There's also basketball, and I want to make sure he's healthy, moving on. We're not going to jump the gun on this thing. I want him to feel not only healthy, but also confident, right? Just because your leg is feeling better doesn't mean you have that confidence back. And I want him to feel comfortable when and if he's able to come back for us. So we'll see. Right now we're just praying for him to get healthy as quick as he can.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. You can your doctor can tell you you're as healthy as he can have you be, but unless you believe that, as a running back, you got to have that belief that you're back.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyler is a workhorse. There is no question about that. There's also no question he wants to be out there. He dang near refused to use crutches. In fact, I saw him today walking through the hallway, and he just had a brace on. I'm like, what are we doing, buddy? He's like, I'm fine, coach.
He'll probably he'll probably try to suit up on Friday. You're going to have to take his helmet away from him.
Yeah, I don't know. Thursday he'd probably come out in shells like he's going to get some reps. I don't know.
You make a good.
He's just that kind of kid.
You make a good point, though. I mean, he is only a sophomore. You look at him and you think physically that is a much older kid, but he's got a lot of football ahead of him if he'll just get healthy.
Oh yeah, and I was just talking about it to some of the freshmen today about Tyler. It's like, look, if there was a freshman last year that had the ability to play 1A varsity football, it was Tyler Payton.
Yeah.
But I did everything I could for him to not play, so he had a year of development, simply because, as we know, like the speed of the game from junior high to high school, it's especially varsity, it's so much faster. And I talked to Drew about it. I talked to Jackson Ritchie about it, and Chris Neer and Channing, Heckman, like all these guys that unfortunately they're probably going to get some reps on Friday night, but really their development needs to be on the JV level, and that's okay.
That's something that I've watched coaching staff struggle with, especially now in these days. We had this talk before about how people are having trouble getting enough guys to have a JV team, but the smartest thing that Plymouth did this year was letting their kids play freshman ball instead of JV ball. They did it the other way a number of years ago. That just didn't work out very well, having a bunch of freshmen getting their brains beat in every Saturday, for want of a better way. There's just something to be said for having a bite you can chew and dealing with what you're capable of dealing with.
Yeah, in fact, one of those freshmen that got their head beat in is actually on my staff, Cole Lanetta. So, when it happened, I text Brent and said, dude, that's the best call you could have made. I know you don't want to give up a JV season, but you got to learn from Coach Barron's deal, right, wrong, or indifferent. Development hurt the program, and if you're trying to turn that program around, that's the right call, 100%.
Yeah, you got to.
As it relates for us, on the 1A side, it's like, I talk to Coach Eunice all the time. He's a great mentor. He's a good friend, and he's been there and done it, right? And he's always asking me, we good on JV? We good on JV? And, so far so good. JV went out last night, and I think they won 30-6 over in LaVille. So, some positive things going on that side for sure.
I got to say, it's funny that Coach Eunice would say that, because most guys who've been head coaches, they understand how much that JV and that freshman team mean, no matter what sport it is, baseball, basketball. You got to get those guys developed, and that's why you have a program, is because of the guys developing those guys at the younger age.
Well, it's right, because if you think about, just do the math, right? If you move up in your freshman year, the only reps you're getting are during practice. You're not getting any live action, whether it's on varsity field or a JV field. You just basically took a year off from your sport. And that's tough. I mean, that's hard. If it's 10 games or even on a 1A schedule, we're getting 5, 6, 7 JV games. That's a really, really big deal, because that's live in action. I'm learning my sport as I go.
Yeah, I got to say, I lived with a head coach for about 30 years who used to make the comment all the time, if you got freshmen playing on your varsity, that just means your varsity isn't very good. So, that was his he felt like, juniors play JV, freshmen and sophomores play the lower level, but, it's juniors and seniors are your varsity, and if you're not at that level, then your program's going to struggle.
Yeah, and as it ebbs and flows through the 1A world, you see it. You get a couple of really good classes stacked up, and when those kids hit junior and senior, you get the dudes that run down to semi-state or they make it to state because those couple of classes were special, and so it kind of ebbs and flows, and hopefully we can do the same.
Yeah, 1A football, 1A in anything, because you got such a limited bunch of kids, and you want to make sure you do the right thing for them, but sometimes that's really difficult.
Yeah, and then on top of that, just you go to a Plymouth or a Concord or a Penn, and hey, you're playing one way. Not only are you playing one way, you got 4 dudes in your spot. So even like during practice, you're getting a quarter of the reps that our 1A kids are getting, because if you've scheduled a 10-minute session for Indy, well, that's 10-minute session for Indy with 10 kids, not 40. And so it's not one-on-one training, but gosh darn, it's close.
Yeah.
And so they're getting just that many more reps, both during practice and then ultimately on Friday night. And it's tough sledding. It's hard to navigate, especially mid-season. All teams kind of get that lag in the middle of the season. But,
injury thing too. If you got injuries, you got another whole ball of wax to deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure other guys in our area have the same thing. If you get one guy that gets injured, like a Tyler, well, that creates a domino effect of, okay, well now Ryder's going to running back and Izzy's going to quarterback. Well, what happens if one of our line goes down and now we're shifting linemen around? And it's tough. I mean, every Saturday we meet as a group. Well, Sunday we meet as a coaching staff, and we're like, okay, how are the injuries? Who's going where? Do we have to move anything? And last year we were super fortunate. We had very few, if any, injuries, and now here we are out of the gate. I lose one of my best athletes, and I don't know, was it the second quarter?
Well, second series, I think.
Yeah,
second time he had the ball, I think.
Well, I can tell you on our game film is like play 36, which is not a good play for me or for Tyler.
Well, let's talk about Bremen a little bit. I mean, there's the tradition there. I mean, as it's just been a rivalry over the years. I know a lot of Triton coaches over the years say, how do we play? It's like an acid test. It's like where are we at when we play Bremen? And, they look like they're hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, man, Justin's got those kids looking mid-season form up there. So it's going to be tough sledding. They're going to come out hard. They're super motivated right now, and you can see it. They got a good mix of seniors and a good, strong sophomore class. It's going to be a dogfight on Friday night. And I told the boys, it's okay to win ugly and just make it a dogfight. And hopefully that's what we're able to do, or we're prepared to do. And, their defense, they're running a 3-3 stack, which is what we just saw. They've got the ability to show different fronts. They're going to be tough.
Talk about your guys. I mean, I'm sure there's a checklist of stuff you want to see out of them Friday, win or lose. I mean, what's on that list?
And really, that was my message, and will continue to be my message all week. It's about us and our process. Yes, Bremen is who we play on Friday, but we're still finding out who we are. Similar to last year. Last year we kind of knew who was going to go where, but I was still searching on what was our identity going to be. Were we going to be more spread out, or we're going to be a little bit tighter? Personnel, and where do they go? And more importantly, are we comfortable with our alignment and our assignment, which is so Nick Saban of me, right? But it's like, if you can't do those two things, then we can't move forward. And so just get up there, get lined up, whether it's offense or defense, and then ultimately know your job. And then it comes down to just executing it. And so, it's like, look, guys, yes, we're playing Bremen, but we're really playing ourselves. Are we getting better this week than we were last week? And I think we will. It's the practice this week so far is they've been locked in and focused. It's getting smoother every time we go get a rep, whether it is offense or defense, and that's good.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking time as always, and good luck this week. And we'll see you again in week 3. We'll be back over at your place for Culver. So we'll catch up again next week.
Awesome. Sounds good, Rusty. Thank you.
It's Andy Barker, head coach at Triton. Bremen head coach Justin Magunia joins me, and man, I just looking at some of your stats from Friday. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier on Saturday. What a great way to start your season!
Yeah, I mean, anytime you start off the game with a kickoff return, it's always takes some off of the offensive play callers' hands anyways. Kind of frees you up and eases your mind a little bit, right? You're starting off up 7 and then the defense is on the field. So I was definitely happy about that.
Well, I was going to say, coaches are always preaching start quick. You can't start much quicker than that.
No, yeah. That was a culmination of a lot of things, right? Guys doing their job, and then Jace making a play and running hard, which is another thing that we always preach. And he ran through a tackle or two, and then the rest of it was just his speed.
Let's talk about that running game a little bit. I mean, you had 2 guys over 100. Jace was right close there at 88. I mean, that's almost 300 yards rushing in a game. That's a good game's offense overall, let alone just running the football.
Yeah, and like you said, anytime you can get 3 guys participating in the running game, you're probably going to be very successful. For the defense, it creates problems because it can't just focus on one person to stop. So being multidimensional, obviously, is always the key, and I thought those guys did a great job.
You've had a chance to break it down on film. I mean, I know there were a lot of things you probably saw that you didn't see initially. I mean, when you broke it down for the guys, what did you see on film?
Well, I mean, I always kind of end Friday night with it's not always good as it seems, and it's not always as bad as it seems right now, yeah. Right? And so it kind of all filters through over the night and then on film, and then Saturday, it kind of clears up for us exactly what happened and what we need to do. And it goes both ways. I've had it happen many a times where, I felt like it was the end of the world. We lost and we didn't do a thing right. And then you look on film and you're like, all right, we got some things we can build on. These guys did X, Y, and Z really good. And same thing last night. I mean, not to say that we didn't have guys do things right, but it is week 1 and this is to be expected. So, some of the things, we had some miscues, we had some misassignments, and for us, right, it's getting better each week and focusing on the fundamentals, the things that, will make us, that kid a better player, us a better team. And so that's kind of like what we started with on Saturday and have built our week on.
What were the things you saw that you thought you did really well, the high points of Friday?
I really thought the second and third effort, I was seeing it across the board, whether it was the defensive line and linebackers and secondary and then the offensive line and the running game, as you just said, right? You don't get those kind of stats without having that type of play from your kids. And I always say it's not enough just to do your job. And that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, let's say you're on a block or a double team and you guys have that guy off, then that tackle or tight end should slip to linebacker. And then if somebody's making a play, because we had plenty of busted plays or broken plays that Jake turned into positive yards. And so then that is who's hustling to get in front of him now, right? Everything's broken down. Now who's trying to get extras? Who's trying to get extra blocks? Who's trying to get extra yards? And I was really happy with that, to be honest with you. We saw multiple players doing that, and then it turned into taking a negative and making it into a positive. Like I said, there were plenty of those last night or Friday night as well.
You know, Jake had a heck of a game. He's only a sophomore. I know he got really a large amount of playing time on Fridays a year ago, but he's stepping into the highlight position. It seems like just a sophomore. He's ready to go.
Yeah, and you're right. He was the backup quarterback all year, and then and got some playing time at quarterback. But because of what you saw Friday night, right, he made his way onto the football field as a receiver last year. So we couldn't keep him off the field. He just wasn't ready quite yet at the quarterback position. And then really put in the time and the effort, focus. He's a really driven young man, has a lot of goals, has a lot of ambitions. So he's, I can't take all the credit for it, right? He's self-motivated, and then that just kind of carried over to Friday. I'm sure he'd been thinking about Friday ever since, the first day after we lost last year. And you could tell that, I think, in his performance.
Talk about the thing. We saw the one side of the coin, the things you liked. How about the things you saw Friday that you didn't like that have been like coaching points this week?
Yeah, miscues. Some of the things we've been working on the defense is really driving your feet on contact. And then we always start our coaches meeting after a game. Okay, well, what are the things, right, like you're talking about right now? Something as simple as driving your feet on a tackle. Don't let your feet stop. Some blocking assignments, or also with our line, we really worked on this week. When you get out in open space, right, engage in the opposite color jersey, right? I don't want to see guys running down, escorting the running back into the end zone. That's not your job. And so then we go from there, and then I ask them, all right, how are you going to incorporate this into your drill work? How are you going to incorporate this into your positions? And then right, we come up with drills or things that we want to work on during our individual time with our kids, and then like I said, then it culminates into the end of the week, and then we start it all over again.
Every week, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little.
Same thing. It's never perfect, right? I mean, the game's built up with so many plays and so many opportunities. It's never perfect. You're always fighting for that perfect game, right? You're always working towards perfection, and you never get there.
And it's true. And what you're saying is perfectly true. That repetition is what builds that, because if you have to think about it, you're not going to do it perfectly. It's just got to be natural. It's just got to happen.
Right. I tell the kids, and we really celebrate, like perfect form or a perfect tackle, right? Like what you may deem that to be when you see it on film or in a game, and then we talk about it, because when I teach tackling, something as simple as tackling, we break it down very slow, step by step, right? And I tell the kids, we're going to over-exaggerate each one of these steps because you never see it. You hardly ever see it on the football field, right? He's moving, I'm moving, we're going full speed. For X, Y, and Z to happen, it's like, right, all the stars aligned, and then boom, it happens. Yeah. And so, right, so you have to overemphasize trying to be perfect on your form and technique. But then when it does happen, and that's why I tell the kids, it's so hard for this to actually happen, right? You see me get excited if I see something that even comes close to it or it does. Yeah. And, and then I know that Cole Mason had one last year, and I told when I started out teaching it, I said, I could tell you exactly when I saw it last year. The one that I saw was Cole out there on the far sideline. I can't tell you what the game it is, but I have the rewind in my head. And, some of the kids nodded their head, and I remember that tackle. But I said, how many of those do we have? Yeah. I go, that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to break it down and teach the technique step by step, because when we get in a game, we just hope to see a perfect one. Same thing, right? Like, I don't have to stretch to overemphasize this. I was like, do you see him in college? Do you see him in the pros? Hardly ever happens, right? But when we do, we hear the announcers go crazy.
Yeah.
I go, that's how hard it is. That's how hard it is to do this. So we have to really concentrate, like you said, on the techniques and do it daily.
Talk about practice this week. I mean, you're almost to the end of it. How's it been?
Good. I mean, right, it's definitely way easier. Every coach tells you that it's way easier to work on the things that you need to improve on after a win than a loss. That's for sure. You know, the kids' morale and attitude is always up. So we have that going for us. And then I think it's just working to the next game. You know, I'm just like the kids. I can't wait for Friday, getting another chance to compete and get a game. And, it's like, all right, we're going to grind out these 3 or 4 days, and then we get to go have fun, right?
Yeah.
We always tell the kids, fun's Friday nights. That's fun, right? We're going to have a situation here or there where it's fun, but most of it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And then Friday nights are fun, right? I kind of like the old John Wooden adage where, our practices are tougher than games.
Yeah, that every good team you ever talk about or talk to, after the season's over, they had a great year. They talk about how practice was tough, games were fun.
Yeah, I'll never forget my first year. It was my first year coaching. And the kids are going to test you, and I was really young, and I walked in the locker room. I already knew. I was like, all right, something's going on. And so we sat there, and they're like, Coach, we want to talk to you. I was like, all right, what's going on? What do you guys want? They're like, we're just not having fun. Practice isn't fun. And I just about lost it, right? I'm coming out of college. I'm coming out of, where I was and where I'd been. And I told them, I told them, I said, what would you rather have? I was like, would you rather have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday fun? And, we're just having fun, and, we're not getting much done, but we're having fun. And then go out on Friday nights and get destroyed and be miserable. I said, because I'm not going to do that, because I would much rather be miserable Monday through Thursday and have a lot of fun on Friday, And so that I've always kind of, that's what I kind of lived my life on, and at least in the coaching world, and then I try to relay it to the kids. We're gonna have fun on Fridays, right? Monday, and there's no way around it. Monday through Thursdays, a lot of hard work.
Well, I talk about a miserable Friday. I'm sure last year when you played Triton this game, it was kind of a miserable Friday. But, truth be known, watching you guys over the course of the year last year, that loss there last year seems to be the point where it went from being a, wow, what kind of season this is going to be, to, wow, this is going to be a good year. It was like it kind of clicked after that and really started moving the other direction.
Yeah, it's one thing. I think it's one thing to go right to lose to a team, and Churubusco had a great team, right? There's no denying it. They had like almost 20 seniors both ways. I think there's one junior that got to get on the field for them, which is a great situation for a coach. It's going to be a great year.
Yeah.
And so then we lose to them. All right, I'm in my first year at Bremen, just getting to know the kids. Okay. Then we go to Triton, and it's one of those games where, right, if we're a little bit better, if we clean up this or clean up that, we should have won that game, right? But we lost.
Right.
So then that kind of lets you know where you're at. And then here's what we got to do to work on it, right? Like, and the kids could see it as well. And the kids I really felt that they felt it as well, that they let one slip away. And then, right, the work and the effort and the attitude kind of picked up from there. It's kind of like what you said. The messaging was there for sure, but then the kids as well kind of decided that this isn't what they wanted, and kind of flipped the switch and really started working harder. And I think a lot of that turnaround was because of that and because of them.
Let's talk about your guys for Friday. I mean, I'm sure there's some things you want to see beyond, game plan things, but just stuff for you to get better at as you're, wanting to have a good year. I mean, what's on the checklist of we have to do this on Friday?
Well, I think first of all, right, we talked a lot about this on defense is winning first downs. And then that kind of makes the other two downs after that a little bit easier. And try to get, you always try to get the offense in predictable situations. And, it's all percentage game then. Offensively, well, and then the other thing, too, we'd like to see on the defensive side, we really preach trying to get turnovers this week. Then offensively, I'm always working on trying to, I think I told you, trying to be more multidimensional. I'd like to see us clean up our passing game a little bit more. And I think that's the next step, right, to getting to the next level. I'm trying to always build answers for situations is really what we're doing. And so there'll be some of those sprinkled into this game, things that we've been working on just to improve as an offense overall.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time again, and good luck to you Friday. We'll catch up again on Saturday morning.
All right, thanks.
That is Justin Begonia, the head football coach at Bremen, and we'll be right back. And Culver Academy head coach Andy Dorrell joins me on this segment of Thursday Night Lights. Let's talk about last week a little bit. I mean, obviously you want to score more than 8 points in a game, but your defense obviously was a highlight. I see a couple of guys had some huge nights tackling.
Yeah, I was really excited about the physicality we came to the field with. There's a lot of things you can look at first games and reflect back on and shortcomings or areas you didn't execute well. But bottom line is that we played physical, aggressive football, and that's a lot of times a lot harder to teach than X's and O's. So I feel like our team's in a good place. It's just a matter about having more opportunities to practice and rep and become more comfortable with executing our schemes, and we can certainly control that. And really looking forward to seeing what we can do this week.
Kenny Gibson looks like he had 18 tackles. That's a good year for some guys. I mean, he had to have been at the right place at the right time an awful lot.
Yeah, he had 9 solos, 9 assists, really did a nice job of understanding his reads and being aggressive. We've really taken a different approach to tackling this year and how we're teaching it. So I like to think it's paying off, but we still missed a lot as well. And looking forward to continue to grow. But yeah, Kenny did a great job. Really happy for him. He missed most of last season with injury. To come back in his first game of his senior year and have that kind of performance is pretty encouraging.
And I see Andrew Kang was right there with him. Do I remember him from last year? It seems I remember calling his name a little bit last year as well.
Yeah, Andrew was our leading tackler last year as a sophomore, playing inside linebacker. And both Kenny and Andrew are undersized for inside linebackers, but they both have great technique and are not afraid to contact, and really grateful that those two are inside backers that have really been leading our charge on the defense.
Got to believe, too, if you've got linebackers with that many tackles, you got linemen doing their job, because that's their job, is to keep the blockers off of them so they can go make a play. I mean, your line play on defense has got to be pretty encouraging, too, I would think.
Well, you must have been in our team meeting on Monday, because that's exactly what we said. I mean, our D linemen, their job is not to make tackles; it's to allow those guys behind them, to control gaps, to force plays to bounce, to force backs to redirect, to create havoc in the backfield, disrupt, draw double teams. That's what we want those guys doing. And we had some good pressure on the quarterback against Adams, and it really limited their passing game. But they were able to complete one late in the game that led to the winning score. But overall, felt like our defensive line did a nice job, and we're looking forward to getting some guys healthy, coming back, even adding more depth up front on the defensive side.
We talk about the defense having a nice night. I mean, what are some things you saw on film as you broke it down this week that you want to get better at on that side of the ball?
On the defensive side?
Yeah.
Well, again, we did miss a lot of tackles, particularly our outside linebackers. Our safeties did a nice job of filling, and but really, it's at the outside linebacker position. We feel like we can be more efficient, more productive there. We feel like we got to get off the field on third down. We were able to get 3 stops on fourth down for Adams, which was very encouraging. But then getting the ball on, 3rd and 4, we got to get off the field. 3rd and 6, we got to get off the field. We only forced 1 punt on the night. But again, we did get 3 fourth down stops. So that's just as effective. So it's about really the team with a relentless pursuit to the football, and we want to see 10, 11 guys in every tackle frame, and that's our goal. Is that realistic in a high school game? Not necessarily, but boy, we surely emphasize that and make that to be a point of emphasis.
Let's go over to the other side of the ball. I mean, obviously, offense sometimes takes some time to get going because there's so many more moving pieces. But, break it down for us. What did you see when you assessed the offensive side of the ball this week?
Bottom line is we expect our offensive line to impose their will on opponents, and they didn't do it. Our offensive line did not fire off the ball. Our offensive line did not execute blocking schemes, and that made it very difficult on our backs. Our backs did not block well either. But again, it's about understanding the scheme and the amount of practice time that we've had. We've been at that for less than 2 weeks, installing that offense and trying to get our kids to understand the mentality they have to play with on the offensive line. And as the season continues to move along, I'm confident that our coaches are going to help our kids play at a higher level. I'm confident that our kids are going to perform at a higher level, and I'm confident that our offense is going to be more productive at a higher level. So it's just a matter of time and reps and seeing full speed action coming at you on a Friday night is different than what you can simulate in practice. And that, I think, caught us off guard a little bit. So those are all things that we're going to be continuing to focus on, is just the offensive line execution.
I don't think people understand just how much there is to that line, in the fact that, you got 5 individuals or however many are on there, but they all got to work together as one, and they all have to have trust in that other guy to do his job too, because, if he doesn't, then you got a big problem. And, there's a lot of stuff it takes to work that all together.
Yeah, it's communication up front. It's being able to trust the guy next to you to double team and then chip, and or to block back when another guy pulls. And so there's a lot of moving parts there, no doubt. And I think that's why I value offensive linemen so much, because it's truly extraordinary when a group of offensive linemen can work together and execute at a high level, because that's the ultimate, I think, teamwork component of the game of football.
How did you feel about your skill guys? Obviously they had a rough night, but how did you feel about their performance?
They're great athletes, and understanding the game of football is something that we're going to continue to do. In fact, on Monday, we spent about 45 minutes to an hour of just our top 16, 17 offensive guys at showing film, helping them understand what we're trying to do, how we can do it, how close we were to making big plays. It's just a matter of time. We've got some tremendous skill back there, and they're new to football, and which is a little bit of a learning curve. But overall, I feel very excited about what we have to work with, and looking forward to the weeks ahead.
How's practice been this week? A good week?
It's been okay. I like to. I'm a big high energy guy, high intensity, and we're fully now engaging in classes for the first time, which is great. When our kids go into class, obviously, but it's a drain on kids until they can actually have a chance to get into a routine, and we're working on that right now, and doing some different things to practice to increase the excitement and emotion that we can bring to the field.
Let's talk about Marion a little bit. You guys traditionally have played them most every year, so there's a little bit of familiarity there, but they have a new head coach. They caught one on the chin last week, but that Marion-Mishawaka, that's a huge rivalry. What do you see in them when you look at them?
Well, I mean, they made some typical first game mistakes, and if you eliminate those, they're right in that ball game. I mean, they made it. They gave Mishawaka some good field position, some short drives. They played really good defense out of the gate. Mishawaka had to make some adjustments, so it was more of Marion not playing to their level of capabilities as opposed to Mishawaka dominating the night. Now, Mishawaka obviously is a strong program and earned that win, but Marion also did not, I'm sure, perform to their level that they expect on every week in and week out.
How about your guys this week? I mean, what do you want to see out of them?
Well, we need to score points. I mean, that's bottom line is our offensive line have got to control the line of scrimmage. We've got to get off the ball. We've got to get, maintain blocks. Defensive, we must back up our performance last week once again with a similar effort this week. Marion features different kind of dynamic athletes as Adams does, so we got to make sure that we're able to contain them. Forced turnovers. Last week we were fortunate. We forced 3 turnovers, and if we can do that again, I feel like we're really going to put ourselves in a position to be successful like we were last week. I mean, it took Adams the entire game into the last 3 minutes to score a touchdown. So if we can do that again, I feel really good about our opportunity.
Well, Coach, good luck to you Friday night, and we'll catch up again on Saturday morning.
Great. Thanks, Rusty. I look forward to it.
It's Andy Dorley, head coach at Culver Academy. And in this segment of Thursday Night Lights, we talked to Austin Foss, the head coach of the Culver Cabs. I know we talked Saturday morning, but I'm sure you had a chance to go back and look at the film, maybe break it down for yourself and then break it down for your guys. I mean, what did you see when you went back and looked at Friday night?
Yeah. When you kind of watch film and you understand just how young of a team we are. Most of our guys are sophomores out there with, a couple, 1 or 2 seniors sprinkled in, but, we have 3 seniors on team and 2 of them have never played really Friday nights before, so it's been Drake Zorich, and you got a freshman that's Josh Bloomquist, who's playing both ways at D-line and center for us, and all that kind of different things. And you realize, there's a lot on film to be encouraged about. And the biggest thing is just, we didn't come out ready to play. You kind of spotted them, 21 points. And I think their longest drive was maybe 25 yards of those 21 points. So we gave them a short field, and they got on us quick. And after that, we kind of settled down and adjusted. And, we showed some film where we were, really, really close. We have done some new things offensively, kind of going to a more wing T scheme. And we did a lot of good things out of it. We just maybe have 1 or 2 guys that didn't stay on their path to take them to a linebacker, or we didn't stay on a linebacker and we came off. And instead of a 7-8 yard gain, it was a 2-yard gain. And then we'd have a penalty that bring us back. So just that consistency stuff where, if we can get that figured out, and understand too that, just because of our numbers, what we have, we're going to be really tough to give you a great look in practice. It's going to be that much faster. So if we can kind of learn all those things and understand that, it would have been a totally different ball game, and maybe we're singing a different tune today. But, I think there was a lot of good things, and just trying to get our kids to understand, where we're at, what we need to be, and just keep getting better every day.
Sounds to me like you're looking at stuff that's probably going to work itself out through just repetition.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's kind of normally on some of this stuff how it is. And, once kids kind of start understanding what a Friday night's really like, they do start to understand, and this is what this looks like, and this is how this goes, and then we do this. And, and I know it's kind of weird you have to say this, but some of our kids too, and just how does a game go on? What special teams comes after this, or what this and that, just some of our guys that haven't played before or hasn't been in those situations, to understanding, the moments of the game. And, hey, if I'm on this special team, I got to make sure I'm prepared because this could happen here, and things like that. So there's a lot of learning that, we're doing as a young football team that obviously we're going to get and, to understand and get nailed down. I have no doubt about that. It's just obviously, you look at our schedule, there's not a great week to try to figure things out and get things on the fly. You have to be ready to go every single Friday. And then obviously having low numbers, you just worry about, sometimes it becomes a battle of attrition too, where, can we just make sure we hold up to we're not having to have so many guys in different positions that haven't practiced this position or that position, things like that. That was some of the things that got us on Friday too.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of confidence builders built into your schedule when you take a look at it. So I get that part of it. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to coaches over the years, and they talk about something just as simple as we got to learn to step the right way. I mean, something that tiny really makes a difference. You step a different way than you should on a play, and all of a sudden, what could have been a big gainer is not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a play, I look at that, it's a good and bad play all in one because we have about 9 guys doing something right and there's 2 guys. But, we had a play where we start, 1 senior on the offensive line, and then we have 3 sophomores, 1 freshman, 1 junior, got a sophomore tight end and a sophomore wing. So we get a look, and if we get this look, we told our guard and tackle, hey, you got to stay. Now the tackle's going to go kick out the guy. So we get that call in the game. They called at the line. That's perfect. Well, our tight end and our wing don't stay on their path where tight end should go to the middle backer, wing should go to the closest linebacker. And if we do that, we walk into the end zone. And we didn't go. We sent 2 guys to 1 guy, and the inside linebacker came underneath, made the play on our fullback for about a 3-yard gain, and it's just looking at those little things where it's like, hey, this is where we are. I mean, look at this, right? This is good. Hey, perfect. We were able to call for 2 sophomores that wasn't getting it last week to be able to communicate and understand, hey, we got to change this and we got to make this call and things like that. So there's a lot of things to be encouraged about, but just, our guys understanding that, your first step could ruin a play and understanding too as young kids that the little details. I mean, that's, that's what I talked to our guys Monday about. That's the beauty of football and why it's the greatest thing in life, because there's a lot of things that it's just the littlest details is what could derail you. Same thing go in life, right? Where you forget to pay a bill, right? You forget what day it is, and all of a sudden, your mortgage payment was due. You forget that. But just the little things, being able to do that, that's what makes you successful.
That's interesting you say, because it's like I feel it's that way in every sport. The little tiny things that are a key to winning, it's kind of the difference, whether they get done right or not, it's kind of the difference between a freshman and a senior. Senior knows what he's doing. He's going to do that every time. Freshman's like, oh, I forgot. I mean, it's that experience.
Yeah, it is. It's just like we said, it's the littlest details. And when those young kids don't understand, this is not a big deal, right? I just got to get to that guy.
Yeah.
I can go over which way I want, or he's standing here, he's going to be here. Not that he's going to play football too and be standing over here where the ball's going. Just things like that gets, kind of a little bit overlooked. And, but by the time they're seniors and things, and they get it figured out. And that was kind of, Central Noble, they're better players, and the guys that were making the plays, against us were seniors and juniors. I mean, they're older, we're guys that we're putting the ball in the hands to, are a lot of sophomores that we're asking to kind of do things. And, you hear a lot of coaches say, seniors win you ball games because they've been there, they're older and just understand.
Yeah, seniors see something and say, oh, I've seen this before. I know what I'm supposed to do. And freshmen's like, wow, where did that come from?
Yep.
Well, let's talk about the things you liked. I mean, what were some of the things that you saw that you felt good about?
I think that even though we did spot them 21 points, we were able to kind of settle down and kind of really control the second quarter. Obviously, we like to be a little more consistent. We had too many penalties and things like that. But, I thought just as for being a young team and just not letting it snowball on us, until 6 minutes in the fourth quarter, it was still 21-7. Obviously, they got 2 late touchdowns where we kind of had some injuries that really hurt us to where now we're had guys that hadn't played this position before kind of out there in certain spots defensively and even some offensively. That made it really kind of tough on us, and the gates kind of broke open to say the least. But I think that biggest thing was that positivity there, and I think just the other standpoint of just we did a lot of good things as far as we're on our path. You can see what we're trying to do. You can see if you were somebody that was watching film offensively and said, "Hey, we're running wing T," they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, I can see your scheme. Looks like you guys are doing this and that." Not somebody getting on saying, "What the heck are you guys running?" And then, defensively, I thought we tackled well. I thought we played hard. So there was a lot of things that we can just keep building off of. And again, the cliche is every coach says, right? You have your biggest growth between week 1 and week 2. So, that's what we're excited as a coaching staff to just hopefully turn on the game film, after Friday night and see that growth.
I know it's still a little bit early in the week. I mean, we're talking on Wednesday, but how's practice been this week?
Yeah, it hasn't been bad. We're, again, when you have things, you don't come out right away to start, and you're a young team, and you kind of evaluate different things. Are we practicing doing things this, or what's a better way? So we've changed a little bit up in how we're practicing, going a little more half line, so that way we can get maybe a little more good on good kind of looks with our guys, where they're blocking guys. Maybe guys are going a little bit faster that played in a Friday. So we're doing that a little bit. And I think Tuesday was a good practice because of it. I think we played a little bit, a little bit faster and things. I think kids are kind of understanding it. So, so far, it's been encouraging. You kind of how things, went with a young team. You wonder after getting beat 35-7, what's that Monday going to look like? And, had everybody here ready to go at film. I thought we had a good film session as far as just learning and teaching. And, hey, all right, here now we got on film in the game. This is why we can't do this, because this hurts us here. This is why when we talk about game planning stuff, and we want this guy to this side, here's why. That kind of stuff. And it's a little bit nicer now too. We got film on teams. When you go into and that you have that scrimmage and it's a new coach. And that Central Noble was. There's some things on film that he kind of hid and moved guys around and different things like that. So there's a little bit of that kind of first week trickery that you can happen, when with scrimmage. But so now we're getting game film on teams, and now you're obviously at the small school level. Once you have stuff on film, it's really hard for teams to kind of change things up in a week. So it makes it a little bit easier for our kids to see it too as well.
Let's talk about this week too. I mean, you got West Central's become just a regular on your schedule, and they had a heck of a year last year at 10-2, and I'm sure Mark has got them ready to go again this year. What are you seeing on film with them?
Yeah, they're obviously coming off a tough loss to a rival and Winamac. Play for the Tomahawk, and that was a close game throughout. It was just kind of a couple things. I think West Central had it inside the 5 3 times, and just couldn't punch it in against Winamac. So that game very easily could have went the opposite way for them. So, they're doing a lot of the same stuff. They're athletic. They're not overly big, but they're an athletic team. They got speed. They got, athletes that, they're going to have probably the best athlete on the field at the quarterback position, and Huber, and keep the ball in his hand, and he's going to run it probably the majority of the time. But they run option 2 as well. So as soon as you got everybody keying on the quarterback, they'll give it to the fullback, or run a counter to the wing back, and they got guys at all positions that are fast enough to take it to the house. So they're going to put a lot of pressure on us from a standpoint of being a young team. And again, the little things: can we tackle the fullback every single play? Even if the fullback doesn't get it, we got to be on the fullback. Can we hit the quarterback? Can we be on the pitch? Things like that. So that's been the challenge this week, of just making sure our guys understand where we need you every single time. Because as soon as you don't, then, option football, they're going to make you wrong. And it only takes one time. So that's where they're going to probably put the most pressure on us, is just making sure we're able to do that.
What do you want to see? I mean, I'm sure you got a checklist. What things do you want to see get better for you guys this week?
Yeah. Again, I just want to see us continue doing the little things better. As far as taking our steps, often, offensive line staying on our track. Like, hey, if you're supposed to down block, nobody's inside of you. You go up to the next level, you stay on the same track, called a train track, essentially, right? You stay on your tracks, and then you're going to run into somebody. That's where we should go. So seeing that continue, and then defensively, make sure we're still a good tackling team. I thought we've done good this scrimmage in week 1, but this is probably the most pressure we're going to have put on. Like, are we good at tackling? So seeing that we're doing the right things tackling, and then being able to play option football defensively, and then the other thing kind of together as a team, just being a little bit tougher. I think we don't have the numbers and things like that, and just kind of understanding that where we are numbers wise, that if you're able to go, we need you, kind of thing. And just that's something we talk to our guys about, and just kind of understanding of where we need to be, just kind of getting that mental toughness kind of side too.
Well, Coach, thanks as always for taking the time. Appreciate it, and good luck to you Friday. We'll talk again on Saturday morning.
All right. Thanks, Rusty. We appreciate it.
It's Austin Faust, the head coach at Culver, and we'll be right back. And this section of Thursday Night Lights, we talk with Matt Packer, the head coach at LaVille High School. And I know we talked a little bit Saturday morning about it, but for a first game, new coach, new offense, new everything, you got to be pretty happy with the way that turned out.
Well, you are. Obviously, you're happy to get a win. A win is a win, But we left points out there. That's no disrespect to Triton at all. It's just that we had some plays out there that we should have scored on, and we didn't execute properly in the passing game. And there was another play in the running game we should have scored on, and we had a block in the back down the field. So those types of things. Obviously you work on, but overall, obviously there's things to work on.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I'm sure you've had a chance to break the film down and even go over it with your guys. I mean, break it down for us. What did you see when you went back and looked through?
I thought we were very physical. I think for the entire game, our physicality didn't waver at all. I thought we were able to wear on them a little bit. What I really liked to see was our offense. The kids were starting to understand. Excuse me. Kind of the method to our madness as far as why we do things, when we do things. How the defense does this. This is why we do this. So it's good to see that light bulb turn on and kids kind of understand what we're after offensively, and then defensively, just seeing our kids be physical play after play, and and a little bending in there, but we definitely didn't break. I know we gave up a late touchdown there with our younger guys in, but that's a great opportunity for our younger guys to get some time on the varsity field, and you're a play away from having a shutout. So, there's still things to build on, but it kind of is what it is right now.
Defensively, that's kind of been what this program has hung its hat on for quite a while, is that, you better come ready because they're going to be physical and they're going to play just outstanding defense. It's just been kind of the trademark of the program.
Yeah, we got kids that understand the game, which goes a long way when you're trying to, and the kids just seem to get it. And it's great. It's great to see that. They've obviously been coached well under Coach, and obviously Coach Hochstrasser when he was there. And it's just exciting to be a part of it.
Let's talk about your lineman too a little bit. I mean, Richard is just. I don't think I'd want to line up across from him no matter what side of the ball he's on. You got some guys on that front that, once again, that's been kind of a traditional thing at LaVille. You find a really good lineman and you have an outstanding line on both sides.
We are blessed with some good linemen. Obviously, we'd love to develop some of our younger guys, and I think we will in the coming years. But yeah, Keenan does a great job. Austin King does a great job. Caleb Arnold does a great job, and you can't mention those guys without not mentioning Larry Wood, who went from corner to nose. Larry's kind of our Swiss Army knife when it comes to playing defense. We can put him anywhere. We can put him at corner. We can put him at linebacker. We can put him outside linebacker. We can put him at nose. So about the only thing we wouldn't put him at is defensive end. So that's just a testament to his work ethic. He's a beast in the weight room, but he also understands the game and also plays fullback for us. So
I was going to say he plays running back as well, and he's taken a lot of hits during the course of the game.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to pay attention to it and watch him. You want to keep him healthy for the entire season. So that's the key with Larry.
Got to be honest with you, he didn't look any the worse for wear in the course of that football game, though. I mean, he had a great night.
No, he did not look tired. In fact, he just said, "Just give me the ball." I'm like, okay.
I really like the way he was able to read that. You get that zone read on the blocking, too. He'd take that handoff, and he'd just find his way over that side. And, that is a skill.
Yeah, he does a great job of making the guard right on that play and doing what he's coached to do, whether if he's supposed to, stay on track on A gap or to slide it out to B, or if C gap's there, take it. So he does a great job with his footwork and his vision.
Offensively, talking about it, what are the things you saw you really want to, shore up this week?
We had one breakdown in our pass protection and get that buttoned up. The way our quarterback doesn't take a blindside shot. Obviously, our passing game, we need to complete some passes, and we complete 2 of those passes. I know our punter completed 1, but if we complete, one of those corner routes or 2 of those corner routes that were there, we get more points on the board before the half, and stuff like that. Timing, there's so much timing in our running game that no one really thinks about our passing game, but we've got to get better there.
Well, the other thing about it too is somebody outside looking in on it. It looked like some of the normal little hiccups you have, like maybe somebody being out of position or going the wrong way, or running the wrong way on a play, little things like that. There just didn't seem to be more than a couple of times that happened. And, for a first game, that's a pretty clean football game.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I mean, honestly, minimal mistakes were very minimal, which was very good. And we grade those out. Whenever we have minimal mistakes, we run loafs for them. So iron those out Saturday morning.
But that's a high spot for everybody coming in.
Oh, I think it is when they know that there's not going to be a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true. How has practice been this week? It's still a little bit early. I mean, you still got the run through and stuff, but I mean, how do you feel about where you've come this week?
Offensively, I thought we practiced well yesterday. Defensively, could have been a little bit better. I thought defensively we picked it up today. Offensively, I think we're still on the same page as yesterday. Special teams have been pretty good as far as practice. Overall, practice has been pretty good. I really have no complaints. I mean, just, a couple of attention getters in practice, stuff like that. Just the typical stuff with high school kids. But, I have nothing to be really upset about in practice.
One thing that I forgot to mention, your special teams were pretty tight once again for a first night. I mean, it goes a long way. You got a kicker like Skiles, but once again, you didn't have people that seemed to be not knowing where they were supposed to be when they were supposed to be there, and that was pretty tight for a game 1.
Yeah, we only had. I figured we'd have to waste 1 or 2 timeouts on the first game of the season when it came to special teams.
Yeah.
But we only had to burn 1, so that was good. Caleb Skiles was unbelievable.
Yeah.
technically, I mean, he had 3 touchbacks, but the first one was not a touchback. But oh well, they gave him credit for 3 touchbacks. But he connected on his field goals. He connected on his extra points. So yeah, he had a great punt, and he did exactly what he's supposed to do in our punt game as far as taking what the defense gives us.
You got to feel good about having a weapon like that kicking the football too, because you get into the red zone, you got a real good shot at getting points.
Yeah, especially in the first half, if you got an opportunity to get points and you got a field goal kicker, you definitely want to take them when they're available. And that he's a weapon. I mean, he would be a weapon at any high school. But to have a weapon like that in 2A, definitely we're definitely blessed with Caleb Skiles.
Let's talk about the gorilla in the room, North Judson. Obviously, every year you think, well, maybe this is the year they're down a little bit. Boy, they sent a message the other night. I know that's a really, really big rivalry game, Knox and Judson, but they sent a message.
Yeah, they sure did. They played great defense. Knox maybe had some growing pains, but they definitely sent a message, and our kids are definitely alert to that, and I imagine our fans are alert to that. When you see the score, you're like, oh my, here we go. But then you watch the film, and Knox was able to do some things similar to what we'll want to do, and hopefully we can play mistake-free football, value the football, not turn it over, and put ourselves in positions to score and keep our defense off the field.
The times I've had a chance to see Judson play over the past few years, I mean, I know they score a lot of points. Everybody talks about their offense, but the thing that seems to impress me is the way they play defense. I mean, they fly around with abandon. They get people the ball. I mean, they're a fun team to watch on the defensive side. Yeah, if you're not playing them, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're very physical on defense. Very well coached. They do the right things on defense. They don't really get out of what they want to do. They kind of dictate to you what's going to happen if you allow that. So we're going to have to match that physicality, and hopefully we're able to do what we want to do.
Let's talk about your guys a little bit. I mean, don't give away the game plan, but I'm sure even outside of, schematically what you want to do specifically against Judson, that it's week 2. I'm sure there's some things you'd just like to see no matter what so far as moving ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean there's some things that we didn't show last week that maybe we'll be able to show this week. It just depends on how the game. I just want to see us match Judson's physicality. I want to see us execute. I want to be able to hopefully we can get after things offensively, and hopefully we can continue to develop defensively, and hopefully we can keep doing the same things we have been doing in special teams. So. Nothing's really going to change with us. Just we got to continue to execute and fly the football on defense and do what we're supposed to do on offense.
Well, Coach Allen, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it as always, and we'll catch up with you on Saturday morning.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Rusty.
That is Matt Thacker, the head coach at LaVille. We'll be right back.